Welcome to my free astrocartography masterclass. Thank you for taking the time to watch this masterclass, and I really do hope that you're going to stay with me until the end. I'm going to be honest with you, the reason why I've created this masterclass is to introduce you to my course, Geography of the Soul. However, even if you do not join, I promise you by the end of this free masterclass, you're going to leave with 3 new insights that are going to change the way you look at your astrocartography map forever. And the third one, I am super excited to share with you. It is not something that is very common and not many people are talking about it because it's not actually known by a lot of astrologers. But first, let's recap what is astrocartography. Astrocartography is a branch of astrology and a powerful tool when used properly. It is a way of understanding how different places in the world amplify different parts of our natal chart. It is not about predicting our future in a new city. It's about understanding the frequency each location awakens in us. Astrocartography will answer questions like, where in the world do I feel at home? Where do I feel most like myself? Where can I find a soulmate or a partner? How can I gain the most, or where can I gain the most visibility and shine? Where are the best places for me, career-wise or money-wise? And these two things can be different. And what are the best and not so great places to invest land in and property? And where in the world might I face more challenges than others? But let me be clear about something. Astrocartography is not just for people who are relocating or for the lucky ones who get to travel all the time. Astrocartography is for everyone. Every single person should use astrocartography to understand how to thrive where they are. If you ever thought astrocartography isn't for me because I am not moving, you need to hear this. And you're going to love the third secret I'm about to share with you today. Because at its core, astrocartography is about compatibility with the land. Understanding what the location you're in is asking of you and what's possible for you there. And the reason why I say this is because every single place has its pros and cons. And sometimes all you need to thrive is to understand the cons, work with them, and make some adjustments. So let's get right into it. 3 secrets of your astrocartography map that most people don't even know about. Secret number 1. Sometimes your map is lying to you. If you follow me, you've heard me say this a million times before. Planetary lines are not everything, but hold on, before you exit, I'm not about to repeat the same thing that planetary lines are generalized. Yes, I know you know that. I want to show you that even looking at the same exact planetary line, let's say we're looking at moon ascendant here, it can result in completely different experiences. Let's say we have a moon ascendant in Turkey, Istanbul, and then we have a moon ascendant, the same exact line going through Greece. A lot of people would assume looking at that the experience will be the same, but I'm here to tell you that you cannot rely on your map to tell you if the experiences will be the same, because many times it is not. I'm going to show you an example. And I've shared this example previously. This is my experience living on my Jupiter ascendant line in the UK. My Jupiter line goes through Liverpool and through Newcastle. I lived in both places for 5 years. At that time, I didn't know anything about astrocartography. I'm just looking back. And when I looked and I realized I was living on a Jupiter line on both places, it didn't make sense to me. This is actually when I decided to dive deeper into astrocartography and learn this, because I realized a lot of the stuff that I was hearing out there wasn't incorrect. But anyways, let me go to my personal experience in here. Both cities are only 3 hours apart from each other. However, I had completely different experiences. For starter, I couldn't stand Newcastle and I loved Liverpool. This is where I truly felt home. And if you know me, I always say if I have to go back to the UK, I would go and live in Liverpool. This is where I felt at home. This is where I found myself. This is where I just love this place. Newcastle, not so much. Looking at the astrocartography map, you would think that both places are the same. In fact, you would think a lot of those places are the same because I am right on a Jupiter ascendant line. But when we look at the relocation chart, that's when everything starts to make sense. Let's look at my Newcastle chart here. In Newcastle, I am a Libra rising with a 0 degree. My Jupiter is in the first house. So see, Jupiter is very close to the ascendant, and so is here, Liverpool. That's why in the map it shows you Jupiter ascendant. But in Liverpool, I am a 29 Virgo, and that's why Jupiter is also very close to the line. I am still close to the line, but my ascendant is different. I'm a Virgo here, I am a Libra here. It is not so much whether, like, what rising sign you are, it's about where the planets are positioned in the relocation chart. In Newcastle, Jupiter is in my first house, and in Liverpool, Jupiter is in my second house. But so is all the other planets. They shift completely, and this is where my story and my experience makes sense. Only 1 degree difference, you guys, created a completely shift in both cities. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make when they rely only on the astrocartography map alone. They assume that the line will tell them everything, when in reality, it's a relocation chart. So this is the number one mistake I want you to watch out for. When you're looking at your map, especially in cities that are close to each other, watch out for assuming that the both places will be the same. Sometimes they are not, even if they are on the same planetary line. You got to check the relocation chart and know how to interpret the relocation chart. Let me give you another example. This is a client of mine. We were looking at Istanbul and Athens. And in here, there are no lines. A lot of people will assume, first of all, that there's nothing happening here, which is incorrect. 2, they will assume that both places will likely be similar because they're very close to each other. And of course, neither of these are correct. Let me show you the relocation chart for this client of mine. And I want you to tell me if you see a difference. This is Istanbul relocation chart, and this is Athens relocation chart. I'm going to give you a few seconds. Let me know if you spot any difference. Let me know if you spot a planetary line. Where are they? Are they on any planetary line? Because on the map, it doesn't show us that they are on a planetary line. Let me go back. There's no planetary line in here. But if you look at the relocation chart, can you spot what planetary line they're actually on? In Istanbul, they are near a Jupiter IC, which you cannot see on the map. So that's one. Again, the map is misleading. And 2, the relocation chart is where we can tell the full story. In Istanbul, he's a Capricorn rising with Neptune pretty close. And in Athens, he's a Sagittarius rising with Saturn and Uranus in the first house. Now, it's not about what rising sign this person is. It's about where the planets shift. There's a difference between having Pluto in the 11th house and Pluto in the 12th house. Okay, there's a difference between having Sun in the 10th and Sun in the 9th. Which one do you want to heighten right now, right? So if this person came to me for a reading, I will tell them exactly the differences between the places, and they're going to decide where to go to based on what their current goal is. I'm showing you this to highlight and show you that your astrocartography map, if this is the only tool you're relying on, it's very misleading. You have to look at the relocation chart, including places when two places are close to each other, because many would assume that they're the same, but it's not the case. And 2, even when there's no line going through a place, people assume that nothing is happening, and that's not the case. In this example, we can see that he's actually pretty close to a Jupiter line, which is amazing. Secret number 2, the power of understanding aspects. Almost no one talks about this, but aspects are everything. You could have a strong, dignified Venus in your chart. So a strong Venus would be Venus in Libra or Venus in Taurus. But let's say you have Venus square Neptune. Moving to your Venus line will amplify the illusion and confusion in love rather than the romance you're hoping for. Remember, moving to a line turns up the volume on that planet, and so will the aspects. If you have squares, if you have opposition, these squares and opposition will also become louder. So let me give you an example. Let's take a Scorpio rising. One of their love lines is Venus. They have a strong Venus in Libra, but their Venus is square Neptune, meaning more likely, or let's say at least just as likely, instead of meeting a soulmate or a lover, they're also likely to meet a Tinder swindler. They're likely to get scammed. They're likely to fall in love head over heels with someone that they are not seeing clearly because of these natal aspects that they have. This is why I say understanding aspects is really important. You have to know what natal aspects mean and how they will play out in the person's life, especially if you're going to send them to a specific planetary line. What's the solution? Yes, this is a natal aspect. This is why when you have a reading with me, I do bring these aspects up because the first step is awareness. We have to understand what's happening natally. Awareness does help. Awareness, we can do something about it. And the second thing is remedies. I believe in remedies. I believe astrology is there for us as a tool to help us improve our life, not to use it as an excuse for our misfortune. In my course, I will not only give you a full aspects PDF, yes, every single aspect interpreted, I will also show you how to work with challenging aspects. So you can turn challenges into strengths instead of being blindsided. In my world, we don't use astrology to justify staying stuck. We use it to grow, you guys. And this is what I love to do. I love to help people evolve and to remedy challenging aspects that they have. If you're going to an astrologer and your astrologer is blaming your misfortune or your lack of because of some aspects you have without giving you a practical advice or action, I suggest you find someone else. Third secret, and this is the one I am super, super excited about, local space compass. This is the most underrated tool in all of astrocartography because most people haven't even heard about it. Honestly, I've heard about this a year or more ago, but I never fully understood it until I learned about it this year. I'm talking about your local compass space. This is your energetic compass for thriving within your city and even in your home. But I'm only going to share a little bit with you for the sake of this masterclass. I cannot tell you all about it. But what you need to know is that you can use this tool to actually position things in your house, your apartment, in a way that will help you thrive and flow better in life. You can also use this tool to find where are the best places for you to work, to go to the gym, to do your grocery. What are some easier, harmonious places for you within your city? And what are the places that are a little bit more challenging? And honestly, when I looked at mine, I was shocked. It made sense why I didn't like to go to that place because that's where my more challenging line are. But anyways, let's go back. What I want to share with you about this amazing tool, it's that it is the only tool in astrology where you can add or erase aspects in your natal chart. I'm going to say that again. Local space compass is the only tool in astrology where you can add or erase aspects in your natal chart. It might not make sense, but I'm going to show you. What I mean by that, let me first explain to you what is local compass space. Unlike your natal chart, which is fixed at birth and mapped to the sky, your local space compass chart is based on direction. It maps where each planet was rising or setting on the horizon at the time of your birth and from the exact location you were born or are currently in. Instead of the zodiac sign, it uses azimuth, degrees on a compass, to chart the directional influence of each planet in your real world environment. Think of it as a planetary GPS showing you where in your physical space each planetary energy is the strongest. Because this chart is based on angular direction, the spatial relationship between the planets changes depending on where you are. For example, this is one of my clients' natal chart. He is a Capricorn rising with Neptune on his ascendant, Saturn and Uranus in the 12th house. This is his local compass space in the natal location. Do you see how he has now Jupiter conjunct the North Node? How he has all his planets clustered together? There's a difference between the natal chart and the local compass chart. When we do astrocartography, we have to consider the local compass space because it is an additional information of what are some of the aspects that are dormant or disappear, erased. Because the aspects in here are different. All of a sudden, he has Sun and Mars conjunct. He has Saturn and Pluto conjunct, which he doesn't in here. So, in local compass space, you will find that planets that weren't aspecting each other in your natal chart may now form conjunctions or trine in the local space compass. Or long-standing squares or opposition may no longer be active in this new location. This is super, super important. Someone, like in the previous example where I talked, this person has Venus square Neptune. Yes, she has this natally, but perhaps moving to this new location, this aspect is no longer there, which will make it so much easier for her to find love on a Venus line. So we gotta look into the aspects and we got to look at the local compass space. If you have a challenging aspect that you want to erase, I'm not gonna, lie to you here. Of course, we have to do the inner work, but it does help a lot to go to a place where that challenging aspects is no longer there. Or we can use local compass space to go to places where we are basically turning on a new aspects that we want to activate. And I'm going to show you some examples in a second. But this basically explains why you might feel more energized, focused, spiritual, creative in certain places and not in others. It's not in your head, it is the planetary dynamics that literally shift. Dormant talents, insight, or challenges in your natal chart might stay quiet in one location and erupt in life in another. And I'm gonna share with you a story in a second, but this is amazing. This is something that I'm super, super excited to talk to you and teach you fully in my course. But this can be a solution for people who have challenging natal aspects in their chart. So let me share with you my personal example. I am a Scorpio rising with Pluto and Mercury in my ascendant. I was told that this is a powerful placement, great for communication, but for most of my life, I struggled to express myself. I struggled to voice and share my own opinions, my takes. I actually even hated my voice for a long time. My accent, my voice, I just don't like it. Until I moved to Mexico in 2019. Yes, I moved to an amazing ACG line, planetary line. This is where I started my business. This is where I met my husband. But it wasn't just my planetary lines. It was the fact that my local compass space formed a new aspect that I did not have natally. In my local compass space at birth, my Pluto, which is an important planet for me as a Scorpio rising, is between Neptune and Uranus. Neptune is illusion, not seeing things clearly, and Uranus is the planet of confusion. In addition, my Mercury, sorry, I didn't take a picture here, but my Mercury is very close to the sun, is being combusted. And whatever planet is next to the sun, it's being burned out by the sun, which explains why I struggle to communicate. This is my local compass space in my birth chart. I don't have Sun conjunct Mercury in my natal chart. I only discovered this when I looked at the local compass chart. If you go to Mexico, in my local space chart, I have Sun conjunct Pluto, and this is a powerful, powerful, powerful placement. No wonder I loved Mexico. This is amazing. This explains why I finally had the strength and the courage to start a business, something doing astrology, coming from where I come from. But anyways, this is what I want to show you. And in fact, I'm going to show you right now how you can pull this out for yourself natally. What you're going to do is go on astro.com, create a profile for yourself, click on your profile, and then you want to go to extended chart selection. You would click on here, I have George Clooney here. You're going to click on, you're gonna scroll down until you find local space chart relocation. You're gonna scroll to the bottom and you're going to modify that location. Let's just put him in Tampa. What is it? Local spot chart relocation, and then show the chart. Let me go back. Let me just take these asteroids. Show chart. So this is his local compass space in Tampa. This is different than his natal chart. Let's go to the testing I have in here actually. Testing. My client in here that I showed you in the slides. This person has Sun conjunct Mars. Yes, they have that in local compass space. They have Saturn and Uranus. Yes, they have that pretty much close. Let's look at something that they don't have. North Node and Jupiter. They have this in the new location, but they don't have that natally. Okay? And they also have Moon and Venus, which they do not have natally. Okay? So this gives us additional information, and this makes a huge difference from being from one place to another. Okay? Going back to my story, if you know my story, I've lived in 5 places and I've looked at their local compass space on all these different locations. For example, in China, all of a sudden I have Pluto and Venus. No wonder my dating life and my love life suck there. So yeah, I've lived in 5 places, and despite having Pluto Mercury conjunct natally, that aspect, that powerful aspect, did not get activated until I moved to a location where this natal aspect actually got turned on. So basically, I had this powerful aspect dormant all this time until I moved to a place that supported it or added to it. This is why I say local space can change everything. You can move to a location and erase natal aspects, or you can add new aspects. This is the part I am super excited to teach you, and honestly, why I encourage you to learn this by yourself. There is so much to look at in astrocartography and astrology in general, and honestly, one session is never enough to cover. So I highly encourage you to go and get readings regularly, yearly at least, or at least every 2 years with your favorite astrologer. Or get a reading every now and then and learn this by yourself if you want to save the money. So let me introduce you to my course, Geography of the Soul. If you love this masterclass and if you like the way I teach things, if you like my perspective in astrocartography, then you want to be in this course. I'm going to teach you more than locations. I'm going to teach you about aspects. I'm going to show you remedies. We're going to talk about parent lines. We're going to talk about thriving within your city, local space. And I'm going to also teach you some of my timing techniques, relocation chart, remote activation. There's just so much. So from the day of this masterclass, the day I launched this masterclass, the course is 666. It is going to be at this price for the next 5 days. And then after that, the price is going to go up to 888. We will start on the 11th of September, and I am super excited to teach you what I already know. I hope you enjoyed this masterclass, and if you're still with me, thank you so much for watching this. Rewatch it if I went through things fast, and I really, really, really hope to see you inside my course.